Welcome to another episode of Coast to Coast Sports. We are the sports show, everything Florida, everything Oregon, and in between. I am your host, Matty Ice. That gentleman, that cigar smoking gator over there is none other than David Street.
What
Welcome,
up?
David. Well, we've got quite the show today. That's my opinion. That's David's opinion. And I sure as hell hope that it's your opinion too. We are going to be talking about several different things today as far as recruiting trail between our respective schools. We have a new segment that we're going to introduce as well today. And we have a very fiery topic as usual for our boy David over there. You know, he is a smoking gator after all. He will get worked up, and hey, that's okay. That's college football, baby. So let's get this started. So, first thing I want to talk about is the recruiting trail for our respective schools with the upcoming 2024 class, as well as maybe a sneak peek on the 2025 class. So, I'll go ahead and get started here with Oregon's. I reached out to a buddy of mine by the name of Max Torres. He is the recruiting guru, I will say, for everything Oregon football. His Twitter handle is at M Torres Sports. That's MTORRES Sports. Feel free to give him a follow, whether you're a Duck fan or not. He's got some great insights. I was talking to him earlier and I was like, what names are really standing out to you on 2024 class that Oregon is really wanting to get? And he mentioned the name, which if you're an Oregon fan, you'll know already, and that is Aiden Breland. He is a five-star defensive lineman out of Mater Dei, which is a football powerhouse in the state of California. He has been in our sights for some time. He's a tremendous athlete. Oregon wants him, and I can't blame him, but so do other schools. This last weekend, he went down to Athens to have an unofficial visit at Georgia with Kirby Smart. And I mean, it hasn't said much. He has still yet to announce a commitment date. Maybe that's in our favor. If he were to have came out and announced a commitment date right after, I'd be a little worried. But he has been our top focus for a while now. I really hope he comes here. We could use a stud like him, especially on our defensive line. It all begins in the trenches. And so he did, like I said, go out and visit unofficially at Georgia. And in my opinion, unless he's wanting speeding tickets, DUIs, don't go to Georgia, bud. You need to kick that to the curb. Come over here. Come to Autzen. We'd love to have you. Secondly, we have had our eyes on a running back by the name of Jason Brown. He is actually uncommitted so far. He has announced his top three teams, including us, Washington, and Michigan State. He is in high school in the Seattle, Washington region, which is close to us, but also even closer to Washington. But he has announced that Michigan State has been one of his top schools that he's been wanting to go to and was leaning towards that way. However, though, with the uncertainty with Mel Tucker scandal, everything that's going on up there, it sounds as if he is reconsidering his options. He's a four-star running back. He's the number 6 running back in the class of 2024. I'd love to have him there. One thing that Oregon has established as their identity lately is recruiting those running backs, recruiting those receivers, and I think he would fit perfectly in our scheme. So I'd love to have him there. I hope that he does reconsider from Michigan State, unfortunately, with all of the drama they're dealing with there, and sets his eyes and comes to Oregon. A quick sneak peek, though, for the class of 2025. There's a gentleman out there by the name of T. Waverly. This guy's a stud. He is a giant out there. He's a tight end. He is 6'4", 225 pounds. So class of 2025. So that means he's a junior. Walking around at that size, this guy's gonna ball. He's actually the number 2 athlete so far in the class of 2025. And like I said, he's a beast. So it'd be nice to have him there. He's got plenty of offers right now, plenty of offers throughout the whole country. Oregon has, of course, made him an offer. I think that's a name to keep in mind if you're a Duck fan or if you're just any other fan. This guy's he's gonna go places, especially with that size. I think many schools will be able to utilize him. So keep an eye on him. His name is DeAndre Waverly. But with that being said, though, I'm going to kick things over to David as he talks about Florida Gators recruits.
Thank you, Matthew. So let's talk about Gators recruiting. When we first hired Billy, one of the biggest reasons we did it was because of recruiting. And recruiting under Billy didn't get off to the fastest start, but there were certainly signs there that we were going to get back into being a recruiting powerhouse under Napier. And the first sign was 2022 when we were able to land safety Kamari Wilson out of the IMG Academy 2022, especially when it seemed like he was going to go to Georgia. So anytime you are able to grab someone that Kirby Smart really likes, that's a huge victory for you when it comes to recruiting. And then 2023 wasn't the best. I think we all know the Jaden Rashada, debacle. I don't personally, I don't think that was. I don't think Napier or the Gators were at fault there. But we don't need to go into all the details. That can be a topic for another time. And then let's look at 2024 because oh boy, our 2024 class is on fire right now. According to 24/7 Sports, we are third in the country, right behind Ohio State, who is number 2, and then Georgia, who is the number 1 recruiting team right now. As I mentioned previously, the crown jewel of our class right now is DJ Lagway. And if you follow high school football, then you'll see that DJ Lagway has arguably been the best high school quarterback in the country thus far. But of course, Lagway is not the only player that we have. Other great players that we have include a monster linebacker class in Miles Graham, Adarius Hayes, and Aaron Childs, all ranking within the top 10 of their position, and they are all linebackers, by the way. And then, of course, we also got Jamonte Waller, edge player, top 2 player out of Mississippi, offensive lineman, Fletcher Westfall, and 4-star tight end Amir Jackson. So we got plenty of talent coming into the class of 2024, and really this class is going to be the one, I believe, that launches Napier into success at the University of Florida. This is going to be the class that, of course, brings the standard back to Florida. I truly believe that. I think every other member of Gator Nation believes that. And then, of course, other targets we're looking at include defensive lineman LJ McCray and offensive lineman Jordan Seaton. Personally, I believe we have a much better shot at landing McCray. I don't think we'll get Seaton. He is a top target, but I don't think we have a great shot with him. I could be wrong. I know there were other players that we landed, and I was not expecting it. For instance, when we landed Jamonte Waller out of Mississippi, that completely shocked me. I don't think anybody was expecting that whatsoever. But no, Billy's not done yet, man. I think he's got a few tricks up his sleeves. And then for 2025, we've only got one recruit for 2025, and that is, of course, running back Waltez Clark from Plant High School, Tampa, Florida. 200 pounds, 6'1", monster of a player who can not only run, but he can also catch the ball as well. So only one player for 2025, but make no mistake, 2025, I believe, is going to be just as great as 2024.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you guys have your sights set on a lot of great athletes. And I'll tell you what, from a Power 5 standpoint, would you say Florida is probably the closest distance to IMG Academy?
Yes.
I say that, and when it comes to recruiting, it really doesn't matter the distance, but I will say I feel like it is some type of an advantage being let's say, a hop, skip, and a jump away from probably the now number 1 powerhouse in high school football. IMG Academy is producing players like no other. So I think it is nice being close to someone like them because you are having scouts there probably every week on home games and maybe even away games too. That's just how good they are. I will say with the big victory Florida just had over Tennessee. What are your expectations really for the rest of the year? Not as a team, but to get more recruits. Would you say Billy having a 7-win season or an 8-win season really helped solidify some of these top recruits, such as McRae?
I think it would, but it's also important to understand that these recruits that we're getting, they understand that really at the end of the day, Billy is not recruiting them because hey, look, we're gonna win a lot of games. No, his main recruiting pitch is you guys are the future. You guys are going to be the ones that lead us back to glory. And in fact, one recruit, I can't remember who it was. It might have been Fletcher Westfall, if I remember correctly. But I know like one recruit basically said, "I don't care how many games Florida wins. I don't care. I am locked in. I am fully locked in." Which anytime a recruit says that, anytime a recruit shuts down his commitment, it is just music to the fans' ears.
Yeah, I was looking earlier, and it seems like Georgia's got that top spot locked up in the recruiting class of 2024. But right there behind them is a Florida Gators team. Wherever you look, they are around number 2 or number 3, which is great. That just shows you the capabilities that Billy Napier and that Florida Gators team has on the nation, because they're coming off a season last year where they did lose to Vandy, and their expectations aren't that high going into this year too, but recruits are still pouring in. So that shows the future for Florida, and I'll even say the same with Oregon. I see such a bright future, not only in the 2024 class, but the 2025 class, that I'm hyped. I'm really excited for that. And speaking of hype is a word that I feel like goes hand in hand with college football. If you were to just use one word, there is nothing like a college football atmosphere. And this weekend, Oregon is playing Colorado at home. And with a big game like that brings recruits. So I hope that Oregon does amazing, because a win like this in prime time against prime time is going to get you prime time recruits. So I think that is something to look forward to. But really quick, if I may ask you, David, do you know people who kind of live in those glory days, those years that they always walking, by, they're always telling people, man, I wish I was still in high school. I wish you should have seen me back in my days. I played amazing. And just one of those, almost like a dazed and confused Matthew McConaughey type of guy that, oh, you should have seen me back in my days. Shoot, you should see me now. You know anybody like that, David?
You mean like basic people who basically peaked in high school?
For the most part, yeah. Yeah. And sometimes college too.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm obviously not going to name names, and even if I did, most of you are not going to know who I'm talking about anyway.
Yeah.
But I definitely know, I definitely know a few people like that, and it's always fun when you're able to speak during those times. But life goes on, and you gotta move on.
Absolutely. Well, you may not say any names, but I will. He goes by the name of Cam McCormick. Oregon Duck fans that are watching this, they're laughing. They're laughing their butts off right
Great
now.
segue. What a great segue. I love this.
Cam McCormick, ninth year of eligibility in the NCAA. You may be scratching your head. How the heck does that happen? And but there's many reasons: injuries, COVID, or the fact of the matter is you don't want to go to the NFL draft because you're not going to get drafted because your glory days are in college. Cam McCormick, who was recruited the same time around Justin Herbert, Brady Breeze, and he is no longer with the team as he is in Miami. He decided to follow Mario Cristobal. Was granted his ninth year of eligibility within the Pac-12. However, the ACC does not allow that, or they have not yet, and he is advocating for that ninth year because he was already approved in the Pac-12. And I just can't help but think of someone who's just, man, you should have seen me back in my days, or, I still got it. It's okay. I could still go out there and play. And I'm sure there are some players that are like that, but 9 years, a little past, I'll say, shelf life. So uh, I think it's best that he just doesn't go for this ninth year. I'm sure he's a great guy, but 9 years is just a little too long. And so when I saw that news earlier this week, it just made me laugh. And I'm sure Oregon Duck fans feel exactly the same.
Well, it's funny because with something as ridiculous as that, you would think, okay, like this is ridiculous. There has to be a reason why this dude is trying to go for his ninth year of eligibility. And I think you mentioned before that in the Pac-12 that is allowed, but they don't allow it in the ACC, and it kind of makes you wonder. Then, like, why doesn't he just go back to Oregon? But of course, you mentioned before Mario Cristobal player, so he's obviously going to where his, I guess, former coach is. And there's certainly nothing wrong with a player sticking more so by a coach than an actual school. But still, everything I say, this is truly bizarre. And at the top of my head, I cannot remember the last time a player was granted eligibility this late into their college career.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head as well, and it may even be a record. So that's something I'll have to look into, or the fans could look into. But speaking of fans and viewers, at this moment, if you can please hit that like and subscribe button. Every like, every subscribe is a starting point for us. We are in no way, shape, or form a big podcast yet. We hope to be there someday, and that all starts with you. If you could please like and subscribe. At this moment, we have a new idea that was proposed to us by our very own David Street, and it is his idea, so I'm going to let him take the floor. So, David, why don't you tell the fans here your new idea and a new segment that we are bringing to Coast Sports?
Yes, thank you, Matthew. So I have this idea, like Matthew said, that we're now going to be bringing, and that is going to be for at least every Wednesday part of our show. We are going to be discussing our pro players of the week from our respective schools. And Matthew, if you don't mind, I would like to go ahead and get into my pro player of the week from the University of Florida. And this one is actually a rookie, and that is Buffalo Bills offensive guard O'Cyrus Torrence. Why does O'Cyrus Torrence get my pro player of the week from the University of Florida? Well, because when he played against the Las Vegas Raiders, in 42 pass block snaps, he only allowed just one pressure. And he was a huge reason why Josh Allen was able to pass for 274 yards and 3 touchdowns in the victory. Anybody who watched college football last year, 2022, could just see what an absolute monster Torrence was, and he still is an absolute monster. And I'm not just saying this because I'm a Gator, but there was no doubt that Torrence was maybe not far and away, but definitely pretty solidly the best guard in college football, and was easily the best reason why Florida's offensive line was a top unit. How O'Cyrus Torrence fell down so far, I do not know, but I was so happy when he landed in Buffalo. The Bills are certainly one of the best run organizations in the NFL, and I know that Bills fans are going to love him for years and years. So that's my player of the week from Florida, O'Cyrus Torrence, well deserved.
Yeah, I totally agree. And for him to fall to a team, such a top tier team like Buffalo, who has been in the playoffs the last several years with a quarterback like Josh Allen there, uh, that's an honor. That really is a blessing in disguise to be able to be dropped that far. They have a great team. The AFC East is going to be a phenomenal division with all that they have, team and talent wise. It's great to see him there. Uh, we must have like minds because myself is also picking a rookie out of the University of Oregon. His name is Christian Gonzalez. Christian Gonzalez is a cornerback for the New England Patriots. So you're starting to see a trend here, AFC East. He was assigned for most of the game against Tyreek Hill, the Miami Dolphins wide receiver, who probably the fastest player in the NFL. He is not easy to guard. and Christian Gonzalez had the lockdown on him. It was actually really incredible to see. This is a rookie against a veteran wide receiver, and he looked he looked like a veteran himself out there. Christian Gonzalez was assigned with Tyreek Hill, and only two passes were thrown that way, and not a single one was caught. Actually, I stand corrected. There was one caught, but that was by Christian Gonzalez with an interception. He is looking incredible out there. He is not looking like a rookie. He looks like he belongs. And it really is nice to see Oregon talent out there, such as himself, strive like that. And it he's having a great year throughout the season, even though it's only been 2 games that he's played in. He has held a quarterback passer rating to a 58.5, which is tremendously low. He has 11 tackles, 2 pass breakups, and a sack. I mean, you don't really see that too often with a cornerback having a sack under their record, but he already does this early in the season. I expect him to have a tremendous year, possibly rookie of the year. It sounds like he's going to have some battling to go on with Osiris. So it's going to be a fun year, but Christian Gonzalez, I expect to say his name in this segment a couple more times, I feel like this year, along with the likes of Justin Herbert, Penei Sewell. So that just puts him in a great category.
Love it. And just what a huge sign of respect that the opposing coaches have for you when they don't have the ball thrown your way. I think you said that he was thrown at only a couple of times, and for a rookie to get that kind of respect is pretty amazing.
Yeah, you see a lot of the top cornerbacks that have been in the league for a while now, such as the likes of Darrell Revis. You're looking at Trayvon Diggs right now, and you're going to look, and some of them don't have a lot of interceptions, don't have a lot of pass breakups, or they may have a lot of interceptions and pass breakups. And it's hard to judge based off of that because you look at the cornerbacks that aren't targeted at all, that have no interceptions because, well, they're not looking at them. Their coverage is phenomenal that they can't they can't even throw their way. So there's more to look at in the stats than just interceptions for defensive back, and that just shows right there. It's a lot of respect. It's smart ball playing by the opposing quarterback to not throw their way. So I want to go ahead and go on to our next topic here, and this one's going to be pretty fun because over the week, if you hadn't heard, USA Today released their top 10 college football stadiums. And if you can't tell
Ooh,
by
trash. Garbage
any
list.
indication right
Atrocious.
there, David is not a fan. And if you're a college fan, you are not a fan as well, unless for some reason your school ended up at the top. But I want to go ahead and list my top 10 college stadiums and David's top 10 college stadiums and kind of go from there. So let's start with my top 10 college stadiums coming in at number 10. And this may shock some people. This is my curveball early on is Kinnick Stadium, University of Iowa. They have a tradition there, if you do not know, where the Children's Hospital is backed up to the stadium. And before the game, they all wave at the Children's Hospital as the children looking on are waving as well. And I think that is incredible to have something like that at a college stadium. So I think that just that alone to me is why they're number 10 and they were in my top 10. It is a beautiful stadium, but to have that there, I think that kind of just holds a lot of sentimental value for a lot of people. Coming in at number 9 is the legendary Rose Bowl, which is the home of the UCLA Bruins. I have been there before. There is just something about that stadium that has rich history. It's like going to Fenway or Wrigley Field in MLB. There's a lot of rich history there. It is one of the well-known stadiums within college football. Coming in at number 8 is Jordan-Hare. I know several Auburn fans who hopefully are listening will love that. Jordan-Hare is a beautiful stadium. It really is. And not only the stadium itself, but the fans. The fans there are loud, they are rowdy, and they are dedicated. That is a great Auburn team there that our great fan base, I should say, that win or lose, they're always going to show up. And if you're watching the Iron Bowl when Auburn's hosting it, you may not be able to hear after. Coming in at number 7 is Tiger Stadium, LSU. Go Tigers! It's also it's the fans there. I'll tell you what, if there's one place I could go to where I would go to tailgate, it'd be there. There's something about LSU fans. I know I have a Gator fan standing across from me. He could even attest to you. LSU fans are crazy. They are a crazy bunch, but I love it. I'd probably go there and go to a tailgate. I probably wouldn't even make it to the game because that's how crazy they are, but in a good way. They are some fun fans. They are loud. They are rowdy, and uh, they've got a great stadium. A lot of other rich history there, but it is a fun stadium to be at. Next is my team, Autzen Stadium, host of the Oregon Ducks. Autzen Stadium, it is built in a way that lowers the fans to create a louder atmosphere for the opposing team. It's a very strategic way for a stadium to create it as loud as possible for that opposing team. And they are one of the toughest stadiums to play at if you're an opposing team. Oregon has held countless records there on home streaks due to the fact of the way that stadium is built. Autzen Stadium, if you have not been there, you need to go there. You need to experience a game there. The atmosphere is crazy. Next on my list is the Swamp. The Swamp, host of the Florida Gators, is amazing. I love watching their games because just of how it is there. And if you saw it on full display against Tennessee, that was like a rivalry game, and it was loud. I could barely hear during the game. The fan or the refs couldn't hear. The players couldn't hear. It was just that loud. I constantly was watching the quarterback, really trying to listen to the play call. Could not hear a single thing because of how loud it was there. And next, coming in at number 4 is Neyland. Neyland and the Swamp are very close. They're neck to neck when it comes to that, and they are the host of the Tennessee Bowls. And their color schemes there, you're constantly seeing a stripe out, and it's just really fun watching them there at Neyland. They are loud. I've been to that stadium as well. Actually, my cousin was a starting tight end for Tennessee as well, and he's told me before that it as a player there, it's like no other. Coming in at number 3 is the Shoe. The Shoe is very legendary in the college world because that is a host of the Ohio State University. Their fans, I'm a little biased. To me, they're a little delusional, but not trying to call anyone out. Actually, I am. Ohio State. Actually, a lot of Ohio fans very delusional, but they show up. They show up for their sports. Coming at number 2, Happy Valley, Penn State. Penn State is to me one of, if not the loudest stadium in the country. They have held countless teams to penalties on the very first play due to the fact of how loud they are. And coming in at number 1 on my list is the Big House, Michigan, home of the Wolverines, holds the most in the country. And by being able to do so, by holding the most, you're also going to have the loudest. They've got great traditions there. They are loud and they will make you deaf. So that is my top 10. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to David.
Thank you, Matthew. Now let's go ahead and go into my top 10 stadium. So USA Today, I really hope you're paying attention to this. This is what a real college football stadium ranking list looks like. Number 10, you're going to like this, Matthew. It is Autzen Stadium, number 10 for me, the home of your Oregon Ducks. Now, Autzen Stadium, love that O. Autzen Stadium might not be the biggest stadium in the country. It only seats 54,000 people, but make no mistake, this place packs a punch. And it's very uniquely shaped, but hey, you know what? I love the uniqueness of that stadium. It fits Oregon style perfectly. Now, personally, I do wish it was a little closer or right on campus. Maybe I'm being a little nitpicky here, but I believe that all college football stadiums should either be right on campus or right next to campus. But hey, you know what? That's just me. I love when the Oregon Duck mascot rides out of the tunnel on the motorcycle, and of course, who can forget his push-ups, man? I'm sure. Listen, One good thing about it is that whoever the Oregon Duck mascot is, like whoever that human being is wearing that costume, is ripped. So
For sure. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
heck yeah. All right. Now, number 9 on my list is Darrell K. Royal, Texas Memorial Stadium. Boy, is that a mouthful. Of course, that is the home of the Texas Longhorns. Personally, I think this is the best looking stadium in the Big 12. I love how it looks. I love its location. I love the live mascot, Bevo. And one thing that really sticks out to me when it comes to traditions over at the stadium is that they have a cannon that goes off during games. And perhaps I'm being biased here because my NFL team, I am a fan of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So fire the cannons. And anytime you have a cannon involved, you are my best friend. So that's number 9 for me. Number 8 for me might be a little surprising because I'm sure most people probably have this in their top 5, but it's still a top 10 stadium. Number 8 for me is Ohio Stadium, of course, the home of the Ohio State Buckeyes. Very regal looking stadium, very convenient location, right on campus. And I really, really like their tradition of when the fans chant the singing of or the spelling of Ohio when they say OHIO during games. Personally, I find that a little annoying sometimes, but hey, you know what? It works for the Buckeyes, so kudos to them. Number 7, it hurts me to say this, but number 7 on my list is Doak Campbell Stadium, home of the Florida State Seminoles. First of all, architecturally, Doak Campbell is a beautiful looking stadium. In fact, I will even go as far to say that it is the most beautiful looking stadium, certainly in the state of Florida. Really, really, really good location. And if you want to talk about tradition, um, Doak Campbell Stadium has so many great traditions, but the one that really sticks out to me is when Chief Osceola comes riding onto the field on his horse Renegade and plants that spear right onto the field. And if I wasn't a Florida Gator, I would say that gives me chills. But still, FSU, y'all got some great tradition. Now, please excuse me while I go and throw up. All right, number 6 on my list is Husky Stadium, the home of the Washington Huskies. So this is I really like the stadium because it's got a bit of a modern twist to it because of course recently it underwent a renovation, so it does have a modern twist. But I really like it. I especially like the 2 pavilions that the stadium has, and when it comes to setting, Husky Stadium, I think, has the best setting in all of college football because it is right there on Lake Washington, and then of course we got to talk about sailgating too. Listen, Washington football, they might not be the only ones who sailgate, but I would argue that they are certainly the most famous when it comes to sailgating. So great stuff you got going, Washington. Number 5 on my list is Beaver Stadium, the home of the Penn State Nittany Lions. So monster, monster, monster looking stadium. One of the biggest stadiums, not just in the country, but one of the biggest in the world. Great location too. And as far as traditions go, I love the whiteout at Penn State. That is at Beaver Stadium. That is one of my favorite traditions of all time. And of course, I love when fans go, "We are Penn State. We are Penn State." So very good Penn State. Number 4 on my list is Neyland Stadium. Now, Tennessee fans, I know that I've been ranting against you guys all week. Obviously, we're rivals. We don't like each other a lot. But you know what, Tennessee? You've got a lot of good when it comes to Neyland Stadium. Before I said that Husky Stadium has the best setting. Well, you guys are right up there as well because you guys are on the Tennessee River, and so just very, very cool setting there. And I really love the checkerboard tradition of the orange and white. And of course, let's also not forget their live mascot, Smokey, when he leads the team out of the tunnel. Love Smokey, probably the cutest looking live mascot in all of sports. Number 3, we've got Tiger Stadium, the home, of course, of the LSU Tigers, and also known as Death Valley. this place is rocking. And one thing that sticks out about Tiger Stadium is that the LSU football team is known for playing the majority of its games at night. They've really perfected that night game tradition more so than any other football team out there. I love the stadium. I love how it looks. Great, great stadium that you have, LSU. And of course, when you guys say "Go Tigers," talking about you at Orgeron. So great stuff there. Number 2 on my list is Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, the home of the Florida Gators. Now, this personally, I don't think Ben Hill Griffin Stadium is the best looking stadium. Like if we were doing a ranking of the best looking stadiums, this would maybe make my top 10, but not my top 5. But hey, you know what? What it lacks for in looks, it makes up for pretty much everything else. Because first of all, the Swamp. Can you think of a better football stadium nickname than the Swamp? I certainly can't. And let's talk about how rowdy the fans get. The Swamp at its peak is just an absolute madhouse. Nick Saban can attest to this. When we played them in 2021, he commented about how tough the stadium was. And of course, when it comes to traditions, there are so many out there, like we are the boys, or here come the Gators when the team comes out. And then a new-ish tradition is the singing of Won't Back Down by Tom Petty, a Gainesville legend, and just what a perfect song too. Which, by the way, we sing in the third quarter. But what a perfect song, like a perfect message. The message of we won't back down, no matter what happens. We won't back down. So Ben Hill Griffin Stadium is my number 2 list, and number 1, just like you, Matthew, it is Michigan Stadium. Might not be the most innovative looking stadium after all. It is literally just an oval, but make no mistake, this place, Matthew, is a college football cathedral. When I think of college football stadiums, other than my own team, of course, the stadium that always comes to mind is Michigan Stadium. The Big House, one of the best nicknames up there, and probably the second best, just right behind the Swamp. The fans are just always rowdy, always loud. They always show up, and I love it when the team marches out under the Go Blue banner. And personally, I think their fight song, "The Victors," is the best fight song in all of college football. So, Michigan Stadium, number 1. You guys have the best stadium in college football. My co-hosts and I are both in agreement on that.
Yeah, I had a feeling that we were going to be in agreement as far as that number 1, and I was right. You definitely had a great list there, and for those of you that are watching that may not see yourself yet as a sports fan, a college football fan, I urge you watch these games or even just look up videos. YouTube, it's right at our hands now with our phones. You search these videos, the traditions that these schools have at their stadiums is amazing. It'll give you chills. It really will. You look up Mr. Brightside over at the Big House. You're gonna watch it. You're gonna get chills on your arms. Uh, and even though it didn't make our top 10, I'll tell you what, over the weekend, I'm sure you saw the video. There's a video floating around of the West Virginia game against Pitt. And I won't say the words, but I'll tell you what, I didn't know that never heard that version of Sweet Caroline by Neil Diamond, but it was really comical, but it just shows you what college football fans are about. And it was great. It was phenomenal. But I too was on the same boat as you when it came to the shoe over at Ohio State and being really annoyed by hearing the OHIO, and it annoyed the heck out of me, until I found out that that's all they knew how to spell. So I didn't feel bad, or I started feeling bad because I don't know, maybe it does sound annoying, but someone told me that's all they knew how to spell, so I'll give them that. But it sounds like me and you, we had very similar lists. But one thing that I did want to ask that I caught on to a little bit was I'm pretty sure I counted you had 3 SEC schools in your top 10 and 3 Big 10 schools. Who are the louder fans, David, in your opinion?
Oh, the loudest fan, just out of all those schools that you mentioned, or just my entire list?
I'll just say out of those two because you had majority of SEC and majority of Big Ten at a tie on three apiece.
You know what, man? If I really had to pick the loudest fan, um, this might not be the answer you're looking for just coming out of me, but I think loudest fans Tiger Stadium, hands down. You know,
Yeah.
that place is just a circus, man. And yeah, I think anytime, if you ever catch a game at Tiger Stadium, or maybe not even at Tiger Stadium, if you watch a game live, from LSU's Tiger Stadium, you can just feel the roar of that crowd from the television. Like that's how loud they get. So it's Tiger Stadium for me.
Yeah, I definitely say LSU fans are the craziest, and I don't mean actually any disrespect to that. I think they'll take that as a compliment. And if you didn't watch the College World Series this last year, there's a tradition when it comes to shots, and LSU fans they led they led the list there, but they are crazy and they are fun to watch, and they may as well be one of the loudest fan bases in all of college, not just football but college in general.
Oh man, dude, don't remind me of college baseball, man. Game three, man, that was just trying to erase them from my memory. Good news though is that we have a lot of talent coming back. But yeah, just wish I could forget that. That was not a fun night.
I, as a fan, I could feel your pain there. I've seen my teams before have come up just short, but against an LSU team like that was stacked with talent, it has to give you at least some type of security, knowing that we did lose to a pretty damn good team.
Exactly. Like we lost to the one team that was actually, better than us. I firmly believe that any other team we would have won, but we lost against the one team that was better than us. And it especially stings because we scored 24 runs in the second game, and you're like, well, we just wasted all our offense for nothing. So,
Yeah.
oh well, you can't win them all. And like I said, we have a bunch of talent coming back next year, highlighted of course by two-way star Jack Caglione. So Gator baseball should have another fantastic year under Kevin O'Sullivan.
I don't doubt they'll be right there when it's all said and done again. The last question I do want to ask you is if you could use one word to describe that USA Today top 10 list of college stadiums, what would it be?
Man, I got so many, man. But you know what? Just one word that could just sum it all up is trash. All right, absolute trash. Especially because Ole Miss is number four. Like, are you kidding me? Who in the right mind? I don't think even Ole Miss fans would have Vaught Hemingway as a top 10 stadium. Like I said earlier in my short, I was up in Oxford, Mississippi a few months ago. The Ole Miss fans up there were very nice. They were very hospitable. But no, okay, I'm sorry. That is not a top five, not a top 10 stadium, okay? I mean, certainly more so top 10 than top five, but just no, no.
Yeah, me and you practically use the same word. The one word I would use is garbage. So we are in agreement once again there. For those of you who have not seen the list, we will go ahead and put their top 10 list in our comments as you will hear ours in this video. I urge you, yours is probably going to be different than ours. Please, in the comment section, put your top 10 list. I'd love to hear what you have to say and why, because as sport fans, we can have these conversations. So please put your top 10 in there. And once again, please like and subscribe to our videos. Both me and David would much appreciate that. Once again, I am your host, as you may know me as Matty Ice. Please follow me on X/Twitter at Booster Matty Ice. And David, once again, please let the audience know your Twitter handle and where they could follow you.
You can follow me at David_Street17. Once again, that is at David_Street17.
Perfect. Well, we appreciate you guys on this installment of Coast to Coast Sports. And until next time, go Ducks.
Go Gators.